So Joshua Schmidt uploaded a video the other day. This needs to change, and it's talking about the very cool, very epic Twitter post by Gabriel Netz where he top 8'd a YCS, Sao Paulo, and they gave him his pricing in a fucking produce bag that you could get from Trader Joe's, which is a little bit insane. I think it's emblematic of a bigger issue of how Konami wants to milk as much money as possible from both its collector, casual, and competitive audience. I want to give Joshua's video a watch and see what he has to say on the matter, because again, he's a guy who actually does receive pricing from Konami, and the best I've gotten is a fucking playmat in the mail 2 years late. So yeah, let's give it a watch.
Let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Price support real quick, because there was two things that raised this discussion in the last couple of days. The first and obvious thing was this. The new YCS price card has been announced, and it is another verse card, another verse Glutonia, another vanilla monster. This got a lot of mixed feedback, just like...
I'm not gonna lie, I think that this artwork does go so hard. I love this shit. But it is also, you know, another emblematic issue of Yu-Gi-Oh's current philosophy of prize cards, where they looked at stuff like Diablosis and Chaos Armageddon, and they were like, yeah, let's never have a prize card be relevant ever again. It's kind of funny that they decided to go down that route.
With another verse Dragon, some people were in the camp of this card is obviously not a good Yu-Gi-Oh card, and therefore it's not a good prize card. It's not very fitting that this card is just a vanilla, and so on and so forth. My personal opinion is that this card just looks cool. And in my book, that's all a prize card needs to do, is it needs to look cool, right? It doesn't need to be a good card. I would even argue the other way around. I think it is horrible when a YCS prize card is actually a good Yu-Gi-Oh card. You guys saying, oh, this card should be better than this, you guys should really think about what that would mean. If they made a meta-relevant YCS price card, it would be insane. Yes, it would be worth a lot of money, but it would suck, dude. It would suck. At a high...
That is like 100% true. Like, I remember during Toss Format, I was playing Thunder Dragon League, and I almost pulled the trigger on buying a Chaos Armageddon Dragon because I was like, fuck it, bro. I need the extra extender and follow-up, because otherwise, like, this deck is just not cutting it. Like, it was insane that was like a mandatory requirement for the deck. Like, you could not get away with not playing that at like the competitive level. It was insane. I definitely think that we shouldn't have prize cards that are playable, but I think that making them literally vanillas is, you know, I think that's like a little bit silly. You know what I'm saying? I would rather have prize cards with like goofy ass effects than something that's literally just, you know, vanilla ice cream. Like Pokemon, I think, has this with their prize cards. This is like a pretty good example of like what a prize card should be. Like, it shouldn't be good. Like, objectively, this is like an awful card. Like, ooh, I gotta heal 10 damage and it takes up my stadium slot. The point is like, it's a cute card that's like focused on like the artwork and having like, you know, just like a very low impact, if negligible effect. And I think like Yu-Gi-Oh prize cards should sort of follow and at least having card effects that are like a tiny bit goofy. Like, I think Duel Link Dragon was, you know, like turbo boring and like awful, but at least it had an effect and had something going for it rather than this guy is real hungry.
Competitive level, you would be forced to spend so much money on such a card if you could even afford it. It would be awful, 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 awful. A YCS price card should not be an exclusive top tier level card, period. And then some people don't like specifically that it's a vanilla. I personally don't see the difference between them making a freaking Digvorzak, which had such a bad effect that it was practically a vanilla. If a card is unplayable, why does it matter that it's a vanilla? Why the hell does it matter? What I like about them specifically making vanillas is that they can do some nice flavor text instead of giving them an effect that sucks.
I'm gonna say this right now. Every single Yu-Gi-Oh card should have flavor text. Every single one. I love flavor text. Flavor text gives so much life into card games and gives you like world building, and it just makes it feel so much more, it just makes you feel connected to like the card and the universe. It's why I love Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone so much, because like Hearthstone's flavor text is, you know, they're like goofy and like whatever, but like Magic the Gathering's flavor text, oh my god, some of that shit I love. Like, my favorite Magic the Gathering flavor text is fucking Village Rites. I think this is one of my favorite cards in Magic the Gathering in general. Like, look at this. This is fucking horrifying. But like for Yu-Gi-Oh, because obviously the fucking card design is so archaic and every card has like 10 trillion lines of text and you just can't fit flavor text onto it. Like, unfortunately, we just don't have it. And I would just love to have flavor text in general. What is your favorite Magic card? Maybe like Necropones. Arguably Necropones or like any Cascade card ever. Or like Glimpse of Tomorrow. Glimpse of Tomorrow or like Necropones.
I don't like looking at my price card and reading an effect that's terrible. I like looking at a card and reading a cool flavor text. I don't know about you, but I think that's better than giving them an effect that's irrelevant. So I like this card. I think the artwork is cool. I think the playmat looks sick, which honestly, way more people win the playmat than the card as well. This playmat, this price card, it's a win in my books. One thing that I will say, some people have said that it was hard to sell their Another Verse Dragons, which I personally can't confirm because I have not sold my Ultra Rare Another Verse Dragon. I even still have my Super Rare Another Verse Dragon. But I do think in terms of the offers that I've gotten and in terms of the price that they seem to run at, it seems like it didn't really change. Check the price right now on Card Market. We could. Hold up. 600 is the cheapest one, and
600. Imagine winning a YCS and Konami gave you a fucking $600 prize card that barely even goes for anything. And you probably can't even sell it. You probably can't even sell this thing because there are like 10 trillion of them that exist within the market. Like, you could literally message any pro player and be like, hey, you have Another Verse Dragon? To be like, yeah, I got like 5.
And one has sold for 500 in the last day.
Jesus Christ,
I will say,
470.
I don't think this is much less than previous price cards during their release year. Price cards usually go up in value once they are not given out anymore. But $500 to $600 for a super rare price card is, in my opinion, fine. The only ones that I remember...
I'd argue that not all prize cards go up in value. The only reasons why prize cards had gone up in value, or like why people sort of have that imagination, is that like, yeah, obviously maybe there are like incremental like increases, like maybe Minerva will like go up like maybe $200 or $300. But the main reason why a ton of prize cards saw huge price spikes like over time, or like in 2021, 2022, is because people were using their stimulus checks to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Yu-Gi-Oh was like basically kept entirely afloat by people using their stimmies to just buy cards. Was it insane? Yes. Was I one of those people? Also yes.
Being more expensive were the ones that were actually playable. Chaos Emperor Dragon, King of Armageddon, or Minerva. But cards like Digvorzak back in the day was 100. Blood Mephist was less than 100. That's 10 years ago, but still. Now, of course, there's other issues with tournament pricing. That's the main thing that I want to talk about. I'm not sparking the discussion of does Yu-Gi-Oh have good enough price support because of this price card. It's just one of the things that triggered it. But my opinion on this price card is it's absolutely fine, and you all should be happy that it's not a playable card, because that would be horrible. That much for that. There was actually another tweet or another post on X that caused me to think, hey, we should maybe talk about Yu-Gi-Oh price support, and that was this one. This one was the post that I saw yesterday where I was like, okay, maybe we do need to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh price support. Gabriel Netz teamed up with Paulo and Michelle for this 3v3 ICS. They went on to make top 8. It's a 10 out of 10 because of the plastic bag. The plastic bag hits different. The plastic bag's insane. The plastic bag's what makes this post completely crazy. YCS pricing. This is the prize pool for, I don't know what YCS it is, probably any regular YCS in this
Nintendo Switch Bat Chest
upcoming season. First place, you get an ultra rare YCS prize card, Another Verse Glutonia. You get a messenger bag, you get a Nintendo Switch, you get an invite and VIP status at the next World Championship Qualifier tournament. This is actually a pretty sick prize. You get travel and accommodation to the next European Championship, and you get VIP status, which means you have 2 buys at Euros and you get fixed seating, which is very nice to have. And then you get the playmat. Second place is significantly worse because you only get a super rare prize card, which is a difference in a lot, and you don't get this, right? Everything else is the same. Third place is the same as second place, except you don't get the messenger bag. Top 8 is,
by the way, messenger bag? Reminder, guess who topped a YCS? That's right. It's your boy. It's your boy. By the way, this messenger bag's like, it's okay. It's like a 6 out of 10. What's in the bag? Cocaine. Duh. How do you think I afford to stream so often? You think I pay my California rent in fucking Yu-Gi-Oh streams and editing? Nah, bro. This shit is pure Colombian cocaine, baby.
is Nintendo Switch invite and playmat. 9th to 16th is 24 booster packs, invite and playmat, and 17th to 32nd is invite and playmat. If attendance is 2,049 duelists or more, duelists who rank 33rd to 64th
That's funny.
will
You don't
also
even get
receive the
anything for
top cut
topic,
playmat
top
and an
64.
invite and the points. Okay. Let me preface this by saying something right off the bat. It is absolutely not possible currently to make a living off of being successful at Yu-Gi-Oh! Absolutely not possible. But I will also say that I don't think that is something that's necessary. That is not something that we as a community, in my opinion, should be asking for. I don't
should be.
think someone that's good at Yu-Gi-Oh! And does well at tournaments should be guaranteed to be living off of that. That is not the benchmark we're trying to hit, I think.
I disagree. I think that if you are genuinely insane and out of your mind at something, you should be able to monetize that, and there should be some inherent prize structure or monetization for tournaments. I'm not saying that Konami has to pay you like $100 million and you could live in the fucking Beverly Hills mansions, but I think that if you are generally like the apex and like consistently crushing tournaments, I think that you should be able to make like a decent wage off of, you know, being good at a game.
I just don't think that can be the argument, right? Maybe you can live off of being really good in a super popular sport or game. In Yu-Gi-Oh! As like a niche hobby, I don't think it's necessary to be living off of it in terms of just from playing it. And I say that as someone who, if it was possible to live off of being good at Yu-Gi-Oh!, I would probably be living off of it right now, right? I am one of the people that would benefit the most from being able to live off of this game. I am living off of it because I made it my job to create content. There's absolutely other ways to make a living off of Yu-Gi-Oh! By creating content, buying and selling Yu-Gi-Oh! cards, whatever, these kind of things. You can live off of Yu-Gi-Oh! that way. You can't live off just being good at it. I play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's a hobby. I like this game. I don't go about it from the perspective of when I'm going to an event, I need to make my money back. Otherwise, it's cringe, right? Not my approach to playing the game. Not a very healthy approach either, I think, in terms of enjoying your hobby. However, I will say Yu-Gi-Oh! tournaments have gotten significantly larger. Also, that means it gets significantly harder to place in the top whatever. In Europe, there used to be YCSs that had 500, 600, 700, 800 players. The max back in the day would be like 1,000, 1,200. That's what we would have for a normal YCS. Which means like if you get top 32 at a 600 player YCS, you're like in the top 5% of players or something. Nowadays, it's like YCSs easily fetch over 2,000 players. And making top 32 at that event, it's so much harder. And while the attendance of those tournaments has grown over the years, the prize pool has not changed. Not even in the slightest. It has always been like that. It's always been top 32, playmat, top 16, booster box on top, top 8, console, 1, 2, 3 gets prize cards. This prize pool structure has pretty much not changed since the introduction of YCSs, which I simply think is not appropriate when the game has been growing so much. Winning a YCS, I don't care about the prize pool at all. I'm gonna be honest with you right here. When you win a YCS, you don't care that you could be getting more. It still feels amazing. The people I do feel for, and where it really sucks, is if you come close to winning a YCS. If you top 32, top 16, top 8, top 4, you're barely not winning, which already feels bad. Icing on the cake is you get a playmat, and that just doesn't feel good. I think it's just frustrating.
If you're thinking that at least my YCS topping playmat is super duper pog, guess what? Let's go into a nice little website called AliExpress, and let's type in Yu-Gi-Oh! Prize card playmat. I was like joking and I didn't think that it would actually like show up and we would find something, but no. You could technically get like a pretty like 95% of the way there, like YCS playmat. Like I'm pretty sure you could message them and just be like, can you replace the logo so it says YCS? It's ridiculous that like the YCS playmat that you get, which is supposed to like commemorate your experience, can literally be faked by like a fucking drop shipping company in China. You know what I mean?
To all the people in top 64, top 32, which went through so much hassle, traveled to an event, went through 2 days of very hard competition, then get eliminated in top cut, and you simply just get a playmat. Especially when you see most of the public events at YCSs have better pricing than the main event. For everyone that doesn't win the main event, there's like better public events. Like if you win a giant card at a public event, you're looking at way over $1,000 these days. That's around the same as second place in the main event of a YCS. In North American YCSs, it can be even worse because they have those side events that give you those uncut sheets of the main sets.
Oh my god. I'm pretty sure, if you guys know her, like Stealthy Peach, I'm pretty sure she owns this Starlight sheet. It's not the exact same one, but the fact that she has like an uncut Starlight sheet is absurd. Oh, by the way, fun fact, I used to own an uncut sheet and then I sold it because I like money. Back when I used to work at a card store, Wizards of the Coast, I think they sent us like an uncut sheet that was just sitting in the back for like over a year and we just never did anything with it. So I just asked the store if I could buy it and they just like gave me half off and I was like, yeah, fuck it, bro. Why not? The fact that Karn the Great Creator was in this fucking set, Jesus Christ, I fucking hate War of the Spark. War of the Spark gave me fucking PTSD. It had fucking Karn, it had Teferi Time Raveler. That's everything I could think of regarding the mythics, but holy shit, fuck those cards. Is it bad that side events have better payouts than the main event? It's not that side events have better payouts. It's more that side events offer a certain type of prizing that is unfound in any other aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, the only way you can get uncut sheets is by collecting tickets and playing side events, or giant cards is the only way to win those is by playing the giant card. And I think that that's an inherently good thing, but it sort of does lead to this dichotomy where if you're trying to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Exclusively for like the collectability or the profit margins, you're just gonna go around the venue buying tickets from people so that maybe you could like scrap together like $10,000 worth of tickets to buy the uncut sheet and then maybe sell it on eBay for like $30,000 or $40,000, or you're gonna dedicate like 10 trillion hours of your life to play the main event and get like, you know, $1,000 at best of prize support.
Those are insane money. Those are worth more than if you win the YCS. What should they change, in my opinion? One thing I see very often when I scroll through the comments in any discussion about this is that people say we need cash prizes. And maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't think we do. Now let me elaborate. Let's say Konami says, we want our players to feel better about topping a YCS, and we think it would be appropriate if they got something in the ballpark of $200 for top 32.
$200.
They want to give you something that's worth $200. Probably more because of taxes, but let's leave that out of the equation for now. If they wanted you to receive something with the value of $200, if they want to do cash prizes, they have to give you $200 straight, costs them $200. There is so many better solutions to that costs the company so much less. So what are they doing right now? They're giving out electronics, which I also don't think is the greatest way of doing it. I think winning a Nintendo Switch is cool and all, and it looks kind of fancy when you're holding it up in the photo or whatever, but it's not that great. I assume Konami has some sort of arrangement with Nintendo that they get those Switches for cheaper, or maybe they even get them for free because it promotes the Nintendo Switch. But in theory, like when you win a Nintendo Switch at an event, you have to sell it for probably less than its initial value, and you have to make sure you're like selling it and find people that want it and stuff like that. It's a little bit of extra work, but electronics are fine. It's just like no one really cares about winning a Switch. And the same is also true like for packs and playmats. Those are technically good ideas, right? Because a booster box, if the set is solid, you can just sell the booster box for $50 or $60. So you get $50 or $60 worth of value, but it doesn't cost Konami $50. Do you see how it's much smarter that way already than just giving you cash prizes? If they want you to have $200, they can just give you 4 boxes, and that's around $200, but it does not cost them near that much.
I disagree with this. Like, if he's saying that like Yu-Gi-Oh players should be paid in product, sure. If it's a good set, like maybe it's a lot easier to like unload those boxes to like maybe a store or maybe to like vendors, or you know, crack open the set and like you get a maybe pull for like good staples, and like maybe like the expected value of the cards per pack like precedes maybe just like selling it for raw cash. But that assumes that you are going to get main sets that are worth money. Like, he is talking about the hypothetical fantasy scenario where maybe the main set is actually good. Like, let's take a look at Yu-Gi-Oh main sets for like the past 10 years. Like Duelist Nexus, kind of a flop outside of like exactly 2 cards, and like those cards are maybe like Revosynchron, which is falling, and Crimson Dragon, which turbo fell. Cyberstorm Axis, useless set. Photon Hypernova, everything in this crashed like 10 minutes later. Darkwing Blast, good set. Power of the Elements, good set. But again, so like what are we right now? Like 2 for 5, and we still have like, you know, Die Force, useless. Battle of Chaos, useless. Burst of Destiny, pretty good. We're like 3 for 8. And like Dawn of Majesty, Lightning Overdrive, Blazing Vortex. We're getting maybe 50% of our sets are actually like good or like meta relevant or like super duper poggers. And the rest are just so bad. Like if you win one of like the okay booster boxes or okay prize cards, if you get like 4 boxes, you maybe get like, yeah, $200 worth of technical value. But if you're expecting to sell these over anything like 60% of TCG player value to like an OTS store or something like that, like good fucking luck, buddy. Maybe you're getting like $100 to 125 if you're lucky. Getting paid in Dabble versus getting paid in Legendary Duelist. If I won a YCS and they handed me fucking Soul Burning Volcano, I would actually slap the person who fucking even tried to hand me that shit.
Magic. On top of that, this is very anecdotal because I have previously competed in other games that award cash prizing. Because what people always bring up as a comparison is Pokemon and other games that do have cash prizing. And I have won cash prizing in Pokemon. It was not as simple as just give them your bank account and they just wire you the money the next day. I remember it as being a very long-winded process. I had to go to a different site and make an account so they could deposit the money on that account. And in order to withdraw it from that account, I was supposed to win, I think, 250, and they took out like solid 20 to 30% was fees. And then I needed to like authorize to that website by uploading my ID and everything, right? And it took like weeks. So it wasn't that pleasant of an experience. It would have been way more pleasant if they just gave you 4 booster boxes and you turn around because you're at a Pokemon tournament. So you look at the next best Pokemon player and you're like, I'll give you those 4 boxes for $200. Easy clap. But also that was 6 years ago. Maybe they improved their system. I don't know. But it was not as good as people make it out to be. The same is also true for Legends of Runeterra. Legends of Runeterra is a game that has cash prizing for their tournaments, and I was very actively playing that game in 2021 and made like top cut at a bunch of the equivalent to their YCSs. In Runeterra, it was a little bit simpler. I think you gave them your bank account and they would wire it, but it would take like up to like 6 months or something.
Jesus Christ.
That can't be the best solution. Konami has the opportunity to just make something new, some exclusive product that you can only get at YCSs, and it'll be a lot more efficient money-wise than giving you cash. I am not siding with the corporation. I'm just saying cash prizes are not the way. Why do we...
I still think you could do cash prizing properly. I think that these are just massive corporations who are just like very lazy when it comes to paying them out, or just have very archaic, inefficient systems. But again, like the biggest problem with being paid in product is that you have to sell the product, which is like the biggest issue. And when you're trying to sell the product, you're either, when it comes to like trading card games, everyone knows that not everyone is a buyer. It's not like you can just turn around and be like, hey, do you want to just buy this fucking booster box for like $40? Like some people are just gonna be like, no, like I just don't want it. Like I just don't want to gamble on it. Like I know you're cutting me a good deal. Like at a certain point it reaches a level of like, I know everything you're telling me is like objectively true, but I just don't want it or need it. It's like if you buy a holographic Charizard from someone for like $5,000, they're the one who sells it to you. They're like, oh, this is like a super rare card, it's a collectible, Pokemon's a growing hobby, the nostalgia market's there, and you buy it. And then you turn around and sell it to someone for $10,000 and you repeat the same thing, and they go to someone and sell it for $20,000, $40,000, $80,000. You just reach a point where you're at like $300,000 or like whatever arbitrary number, and like the person you're buying or selling it to, they're just like, yeah, like I understand what you're saying, but this is just like this is such like an out-of-pocket investment that is just not even worth it, even though like I logically like recognize like what you're saying or like what I'm getting out of it. Like it's just not worth it at a certain point. Like sure, you could buy boxes of like legendary duelists like Soul Burning Volcano for like $20, and that's a pretty good deal. But at the same time, what is your expected value from either the sealed product or like the cards inside? Spoiler alerts is like fucking nothing. So like why would you even buy it in the first place?
We care about Konami's finances. See, this is where you guys are sometimes being idiots. Ignoring the fact that Konami is a company and needs to make money is stupid. If Konami does not do well, this game does not exist. What the hell are you on about? But they can do better than what they're doing right now. That's where I'm getting towards. The frustrating part is, if you think about all the things I just said, you realize how shockingly easy it would be to give the players insane prizes at these events without spending much money. Because all they would need to do, for example, they go ahead and say, hey, season of 2023 and 2024, we will create an Ash Blossom Ultimate Rare card, and everyone in top 64 at a YCS wins one. Literally, that entire year of printing Ash Blossoms in Ultimate Rare costs them $10. Not even. It's not even relevant to the company in the grand scheme. But the payoff to the community would be insane. Think about how much that card would be worth. The top 64 YCS exclusive Ash Blossom or any other card, really, in an exclusive rarity, it would just be so good. Lowballing maybe 300, 400, 500, but could easily be more than that. For everyone who tops a YCS. And now suddenly everyone that tops a YCS is just happy. And they don't even have to pay anything for it.
I don't think Konami will ever do anything like that, unfortunately. Yes, like, although they are, like, yeah, they could, like, take, like, maybe, like, a meta staple and maybe reprint it, but because it's, like, a meta staple, its price is sort of, like, inherently tied to the availability of the card. Like, obviously, the demand for, like, prize cards is, like, extremely different, especially when it comes to, like, very exclusive prize cards, but I guess, like, the closest comparison I could go for is, like, Infinite Impermanence, where, like, it does have a super exclusive like OTS printing where it's like $1 trillion, but you could see, like, just because of how overprinted this card is, you could see that, like, just over time there's been like this huge sliding scale that, you know, just sort of directly correlated with like how available this card is. Is this card even like really good? And I think having, like, you know, prize cards that are meta staples and, you know, their price is extremely closely correlated with the metagame as a whole, as well as the current print run and supply of that card within the market, I don't think that's the necessary, like, best idea of what you should be doing, in my opinion, at least. I could be completely wrong, and I would love to be wrong, and I would love for, you know, obviously exclusive artworks or exclusive rarities of, like, prize cards to exist or whatever. At least from, like, my first thoughts, I think that this isn't the greatest idea. I know it would be horrible if Top 64 gets a Starlight of any card of their choice. I'm assuming not, like, Starlights in rotation, but, like, a Starlight card of their choice or whatever, right? Then it creates, like, this really weird dichotomy of, like, I'm gonna make, like, a Starlight Ash Blossom. Like, half the people are just like, I'm gonna make a Starlight meta staple, and they're gonna, like, sell it. And, like, it also fucks with Konami in the future if they ever want to make a Starlight of that card. Like, you know, Konami's been doing, like, the Starlight Signer Dragons? Like, we've got, like, Starlight Stardust Dragon, Starlight Black Rose Dragon. Like, what happens if, like, Konami for the next set, they want to make a Starlight, like, Red Dragon Archfiend, but someone's like, I want a Starlight Red Dragon Archfiend, like, right now. Like, what happens? Starlight Bat. Then it's a different set code, but it kind of defeats the purpose. Like, a lot of the value in having that Starlight is just kind of lost immediately, you know what I mean? Like, one of the main arguments is that, like, instead of giving, like, $1,000 worth of prizing, people should be given, like, $1,000 worth of, like, cards or whatever. And if your $1,000 worth of cards is, like, immediately undercut by, you know, supply and demand, then it kind of defeats the purpose. Like, again, like, if I ask for, like, Starlight RDA, like, I could set the value to whatever I want, and maybe it's like $1,000 evaluated. If Konami releases a set where, like, Starlight RDA, then it's just gonna, like, turbo tank. If there's a Starlight of an existing card with a different set code, it would make it more valuable. Let's test that theory. Lady Labyrinth. We essentially have a version of a card with an expensive set code and one with, like, a quote-unquote cheap set code, which is the Starlight versus the Quarter Century. And you'll notice that the Quarter Century has been, you know, relatively keeping an okay price, maybe a mild uptick. And again, this is, like, obviously, like, a meta card, and there are, like, meta relevant staples, and, like, you know, it's like, it's not like a perfect one-to-one, but this is, like, the closest example where both high and low rarity versions of cards exist that negatively, like, impact each other.
And that's the frustrating part. The frustrating part is that they don't try to find a solution like that. I don't know what the reason is, honestly. I would be very intrigued to know the reason why, because surely they have thought about something like this, right? They are doing exclusive product for YCSs and other tournaments. You have regionally exclusive playmats, you have regionally exclusive deck boxes, you have YCS exclusive coins for entry, you have YCS exclusive playmats for entry, you have YCS exclusive playmats for top cut. Why not promo cards? To come to an end here, so I don't keep repeating myself, I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh is something that you need to be 100% able to live off of if you are good at it. But the point is, it would be really nice to give people more for topping a 2,000 player YCS than a playmat. I think that's a little disrespectful. I'm not asking for, like I said, cash prizes or the ability to live off of it, but freaking feeling like you've accomplished something when you top 32 a YCS. It does feel like the company doesn't even acknowledge that it's a good achievement. They're like, what you've achieved here is not that special, so we're not giving you anything special. And that's what I think is bothering most of the people, right? It's not like someone who lost in top 32 is like, oh my god, I top 32 to YCS, I think I should now be a millionaire. It's more like I don't feel like I've done anything right now because I'm not getting anything for it. To me personally, I've never played Yu-Gi-Oh for the prizing. It's never been my motivation. I'll never quit a game that I love because the prizes are not good, but I do think it would be nice to just have a little bit of a better solution.
And like one more thing, when he says like, yeah, make like Konami should give better product or better pricing or whatever to the players, this immediately just loops around into those players flipping pricing or prize cards or whatever for cash. So it's ultimately like, what was the fucking point? Like, I feel like at this point, just like cut the middleman out instead of just like maybe like accidentally whiffing on like a bad prize card or like a bad product run where maybe someone who received like maybe 3 cases of Power of the Elements can sell that for maybe like, I don't know, like $3,000, where someone who got fucking Battle of Chaos can only sell like 3 cases worth for like $1,000. I think that having this variability when it comes to receiving the product that you could be receiving isn't necessarily like the best choice, but I do understand what he's saying, where in a platonic universe where like all sets are good or like equally priced and players can expect to receive like a certain amount of money instead of, you know, having like wild rifts between like a Rise of the Duelists or like a Battle of Chaos or some shit like that. I think that that is a platonic universe that I do think Yu-Gi-Oh could go down, but I just don't think right now, with the way Yu-Gi-Oh sets have been and how products are, it is the best course of action. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below of what prize card Konami should give me. I would appreciate a armpit artwork of Lovely Labyrinth, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.